start off, I guess I'll focus. I don't know what you guys are interested in, or does it matter? I was thinking about talking about tunings, because and this is an old-timey banjo. This one right here is a White Lady number 2, Vega White Lady number 2 from 1924, and this is it's a real cool old banjo, and it's kind of a classic thing. And one of these gold tones is kind of a replica of one of these, but this is the actual one. It's called White Lady because in those days, in the 20s, the teens in the 20s, it's a lot more fashionable to make things out of mahogany or dark wood, but they made this out of these lighter, as you can see in there, and they just call it a White Lady for that reason. And the tone ring, it's called an electric tone ring. That was the state of the art. Technology back then to make it a little bit louder. That's called the electric tone ring. It's kind of a scallop thing, and it has a distinctive sound. And around the same time, the Vega company was making tubophones, which were a tubular kind of structure. And then that all came, to the modern era with the solid brass tone ring that the Gibson company, or I guess probably Fairbanks, maybe, I don't know. So anyway, I'm going to start. I'll just show you a few things. I started this tuning right here, and this is called double D. It's really double C, but it's capable of it. Those two old-timey tunes, fiddle tunes. That was Mississippi, Sawyer, and Liberty. And, basically, on the old-timey stuff, it seems to me like the old people, and way before radios and recordings and all that, they just kind of played stuff of whatever they had around. The fiddle was the main kind of instrument that came over from Europe. And the banjos came from the sleighs, but it seems like everybody just played anything, and they just played the same stuff or whatever they had. And so a lot of these banjo tunes are really fiddle tunes, and a lot of fiddle tunes came from banjo stuff, and if you kind of listen to all the old-timey stuff, there's even Indian melodies and American Indian stuff, and there's slave stuff, and then they, spiritual blues stuff, and then they took stuff from popular music at the time, and it just got all mixed together, way back in the 1800s. And that's still kind of the way bluegrass is now, if you listen to it. So that's the key of D. Another thing that I learned doing this for a long time, and the banjo, I always thought that the 5-string banjo, the 5th string, was an addition, and that was kind of something that way back when Joel Sweeney took credit for inventing the 5-string banjo. He took a 4-string banjo and he put a 5th string on there in the 1860s. And I found out that that's not true. Joel Sweeney was a big famous minstrel person, and he spent his career, and he and his brother, very, very famous, and traveled all through Europe. It was a huge, popular success having minstrels all over the world. They traveled and they were big celebrities. And Joel Sweeney was into publicity and publicizing himself, so he started that myth about putting the 5th string on the banjo. But the little extra string was on there from the prehistoric days, and this right here is an example of a really old, from the slaves, probably. They made banjos or instruments out of a gourd, and the 5th string was on there, and there are some even archaeologic examples of this. But the 5th string was on there, and it was optional. You could have extra little short strings, or you could not. But the tenor banjo and the plectrum banjo became much more popular in the 1920s. So most banjos did have 5 strings way before, and that was kind of a myth that I didn't know about. But the 5th string was used differently back then. A lot of people played classical music or tunes of any kind that they could, and then the Appalachian mountain people like to use the 5th string as a drone, as an extra string they could leave open and give it a kind of a bagpipey sound. And so that's kind of what we're used to hearing. But it wasn't always the case. And here's an example of an Irish tune that was by a guy named O'Carolan, who wrote this song about 1500. A very famous Irish tune is called Shebang Shamor. And he was a harp player, celebrated wrote a lot of songs. And this is one that's a real popular one, but you can see how the banjo is kind of used like a harp, and the 5th string is used a little different. Shebang Shemore, but that's a little bit of a harpy sounding. And then here's another Irish one that gets it sort of like the fiddle. This one's called the Cuckoo's Nest. And this is on a frailing clawhammer.